Hello, storytellers. So I'm going to read a story and listen carefully because later on you're going to retell the story on your own. The title of this story is about camping rehearsal by Catherine Lay. Gabriella dragged the tent box from the garage to the backyard. Greg, come help me with the camping rehearsal, she shouted. Her brother walked outside with a banana in his hand. He pretended to be a monkey. Who ever heard of a camping rehearsal? He asked. Gabriella said, and what's wrong with having a rehearsal for our first ever camping trip? It's so great that Mom's office is doing a family campout. Greg hopped around and scratched himself like a monkey. Then he grinned. Can we rehearse the eating part too? Gabriella nodded. You bet. She pulled the tent parts from the box. They had borrowed the tent from the campout. Wow, that's a lot of stuff, Greg said. Gabriella bent down. She moved several long metal pieces to one side. There were small metal pieces with round and sharp ends. She shook the box. Uh-oh, no instruction, she said. Greg growled. Maybe a bear ate them. A big grizzly bear who likes to eat paper. Gabriella sighed. No instruction in a silly brother. She picked up the metal pieces with the sharp ends. These probably go into the ground. Greg grabbed a corner of the tent. Here's a rope with a hook at the end. They stood side by side and looked at all the pieces lying on the ground. Gabriella said, It's a puzzle. Greg shook his head. It's a mess. Gabriella looked around the backyard. We need to find a good spot, somewhere flat. Greg ran over to the hill in the corner of the yard where their parents hated to mow. No, let's do it on the hill. We can roll the tent like a roller coaster. He lay down and rolled to the bottom of the hill. Gabriella grabbed the tent and dragged it to the spot where there were sometimes set up a small pool. She said, Perfect. It's flat and big and the best spot to look at a koi pond and the flower garden. It will be like really in the woods. She ran from a corner to corner, stretching the tent until it looked like even. Greg grabbed the metal poles and dragged them to the tent. Maybe this goes on those loops. Then what? Gabriella started the tent. She closed her eyes and pictured the one she saw when they were staying in a cabin near the lake on vacation. She grabbed a pole and stuck it in a loop. Stick the pole on your side, she said. Greg put the pole in and said, The tent is still flat. Gabriella backed up. She held the pole until her side of the tent stood taller. Back up and hold the pole. Pull at the tent, she said. Greg grunted as he backed away and held onto the pole. After a while, the tent was standing at the front. They added the other poles at the back. Hey, it looks like a tent, Greg said. He ran to the front flaps and crawled inside. Wait, Gabriella said. What are those short poles that stick in the ground? She slid one into the side loop, then pushed it into the ground. Then another and another. Greg put in the last one. He touched the side of the tent, then he patted it. Wow, it's great, Gabriella said. Greg pulled the lawn chair near the tent and flopped into it. That was hard work. Where's the fun part of camping? Gabriella tapped her finger against her nose. She smiled and ran into the kitchen. She pulled out a big straw picnic basket from a closet. Inside were plastic plates and cups and silverware. Gabriella opened the refrigerator and stared inside. This, a little of that, and some of those, she said as she filled the picnic basket. Gabriella grabbed the basket and ran outside. We can start a campfire, but we can pretend and rehearse eating, she told her brother. Greg licked his lips. Yeah, Let's rehearse lunch. Gabriella pulled the tablecloth from the picnic basket and put it on the grass. Greg grabbed twigs that had fallen from the big oak tree and put them on the ground near the tent. With a real campfire, we put stones all around it to keep the fire inside. He said, I saw it in the movie. Gabriella pulled out 2 cans of juice, 2 leftover hot dogs, and the night before, 2 apples and 2 small bags of cookies. They ate their practice camping lunch. Sophie, their cocker spaniel, jumped out and jumped up and down and barked. A wild animal, Greg shouted. I'll tame him with a hot dog. He tossed a piece of his hot dog to Sophie. She grabbed it and ran to her doghouse. Quick thinking, Gabriella said, giggling. After they ate, they played games of tag and hide and seek. Gabriella decided they were ready for the real camping trip. It had been fun rehearsing. They picked up the sticks from the pretend campfire and put them in the corner of the yard. They took down the tent and put everything back in the box. Gabriella turned when she heard a glass door slide open. Her parents stood together frowning. I'm afraid we have bad news, their father said. Their mother nodded. The camping trip is canceled for this weekend. I'm sorry, but they will do it next month. Her father, it's too hard. It's too bad. I was looking forward to it. Gabriella nudged her brother's arm. Hey, Dad, have you ever heard of a camping rehearsal? Gabriella looked at her brother and grinned. This time, they might even see Miss Taylor's striped cat in the trees. Sometimes she looked like a tiger. The end. So, now it's your turn to retell the story. Good luck.